Now, the European Union says it wants to stop using Russian fossil fuels by 2027, and it's just unveiled a €210 billion plan to do exactly that. The hope is not only to deprive the Kremlin of tens of billions in revenue, but also to strengthen the EU's climate policies. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen presented the initiative in Brussels.
But today we're taking our ambition yet to another level to make sure that we become independent of Russian fossil fuels as quickly as possible. This whole approach is Repower EU. So Repower EU will help us to save more energy, to accelerate the phasing out of fossil fuel, and most importantly, to kickstart investments on a new scale. So I would say this will be the speed charging of our European Green Deal.
Well, key to the plan are energy savings and renewables. So let's take a closer look at what's arguably the most important source of renewable energy, wind power. But its expansion here in Europe on and offshore has been slow, while Asia has seen its wind energy capacity almost triple since 2020. Wind farm capacity in the European Union has increased by just 4%. But that's the overall European picture. Break that down to individual states, and we can see that the pace of offshore expansion varies widely. Aside from Denmark, no EU member with access to the sea completed a wind farm last year. But that's set to change. Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands and Denmark have all just announced plans to expand offshore wind capacity in the North Sea massively to create a green power plant for Europe.
We want to increase our total offshore wind capacity fourfold by 2030 and tenfold by 2050.
And we need that for two reasons. One is to tackle climate change. We are working hard within Europe to make our energy supply sustainable. But secondly, because of the Russian invasion in Ukraine.
First of all, it's driving down energy prices. And in times like these, I think it is very important to show the potential that we have to drive the prices down. Second element is that it reduces CO2 emissions. This is a goal that we have set as a European Union.
Then the North Sea is the place where we can have large-scale generation of electricity in offshore wind parks, in the large capacities that we need. And we can do that in a way which is cost-effective today.
Well, Germany's Economy and Climate Minister Robert Habeck was also at that meeting. Speaking with DW correspondent Julia Saudelli, he underscored the importance of this joint initiative.
This is really the exceptional thing today, that we're not planning a European grid alone and not planning a hydrogen backbone infrastructure, but planning power plants, offshore wind parks together. So this is the new momentum we really need in this situation.
There have been reports that negotiations with Qatar regarding LNG terminals have hit some problems because of the length of contracts and things like that. Do you have any comment regarding those negotiations?
Well, I have a comment, but I can't go too deep into the negotiations because the companies are really doing the negotiations. But it's obvious that we need natural gas if we want to get rid of Russian natural gas. This is the situation, but we won't be hijacked. And if someone is using this situation to asking for too high prices or too long-term contracts, then we will find other partners. We really would like to cooperate with a lot of countries, but not under the condition that it is that they dictate the conditions. So it's a market, and we will find other suppliers if the Qataris are asking for too high prices.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's get more on this European plan from Christian Janssen, who's CEO of Green Power Denmark in Copenhagen. Welcome to DW. If the EU hits its target of ditching Russian fossil fuels within 5 years, how much of that gap do you expect will be filled by wind energy?
I think that must be the majority of the gap, because wind energy is the only source that is large enough and cost-effective enough to put scale into what is needed right now. And the plan today presented about the North Sea and the offshore wind there is a huge step forward to get European independence from Russian gas. So I'd like to commend the Prime Ministers of Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands and Denmark for taking this initiative. We need this, and we need even more to get independence from Russia.
It's extraordinary, though, isn't it? We have known for decades, we have all known, every school child will tell us that we have to wean ourselves off of fossil fuels. We have to make this transition to renewables. Why has it taken a war in Ukraine for the EU to take this seriously?
Well, sometimes when you need to act on problems, they need to be right in your face and acute. If problems are further down the road, you can see, like, perhaps we should deal with other problems first. But now the problem is real and concrete and right here with us today. We have a problem with the dependency of Russian gas and oil, and we have the problem with the climate. And those two problems are coming together in one solution, which is to electrify Europe, and to do that with renewable green electricity, primarily from solar and wind.
But here's the thing, these changes always sound lovely in the abstract, but they end up costing us, the consumer, right at the start. We know that creating the infrastructure for offshore wind farms is expensive, especially in deeper waters. We're in the middle of a cost of living crisis. So how much is this going to cost us? How much will consumers end up having to pay more for energy to repay those capital investment costs?
Actually, my prediction is that consumers will pay less than we do right now with the high prices of energy from natural gas and from oil and other fossil fuels. If you see the trend of the years, the price for renewable energy has dropped and dropped and dropped. If you go back to the first wind farm offshore that Denmark produced in '91, we had to pay a large subsidy from the state in order to create the wind farm. And if you take the latest that we have produced in Denmark or planned in Denmark, it is actually the operators who are paying to the Danish state for the right to use the land in the North Sea. So going from a state subsidy to a state payment is the trend right now. We need, of course, to think very carefully when you need the scale, how much can the investors pay for this? And do we want to continue to have a race to the bottom with the workforce and the working conditions that we see around the world? Or will we have European standard of sustainability, not only in the energy, but also in the production of the windmills?
If it's so lovely and so increasingly cheap and inexpensive, one wonders why we haven't done this before.
Well, we should have done it before. And politicians should have taken action before, but instead of pointing fingers of what should have been done, I just like to be happy and pleased about what has been said and promised today, that now we will strengthen the time for planning. We will increase the span of openness to where you can invest as an investor. And right now there are private investors, there are pension funds who want to invest without state subsidy in renewable energy and sell that on market price. So this is a new sensation. This is a new way of having renewable energy without state subsidies.
And a quick word on the environmental impact. How will the explosion of all this underwater noise from all these newly created wind farms affect marine life? It would be ironic if our new green energy sources ended up being environmentally catastrophic.
Well, first of all, there will be areas in the North Sea and other places that should never have wind farms. There are protected areas that should continue to be totally protected from fishery and from offshore wind. But what we can see right now is some of the results coming back is actually telling us that it could be good for biodiversity if you have wind farms and the fundaments in the sandy areas that can create a diverse environment for plants and fish and other animals in the sea. So I will not say for certain that this is bad for biodiversity. It could turn out to be good if we're planning green energy and good environment for the fish at the same time.
Thank you so much for joining us. Christian Janssen from Green Power Denmark.